should I have like a zero ready?
Welcome to Media Path. I am Louise Palanker.
And I'm Fritz Coleman.
Today's Media Path is taking us to the intersection of Cowsills and Bangles. Both of those paths offer tributaries which take you into the lands of the Continental Drifters and the Beach Boys and the Psycho Sisters and the works of Barry Cowsill and Billy Cowsill and the Happy Together Tour, celebrating 60s and 70s music legends. We have Bob Cowsill joining us with his brother, John Cowsill, and John's wife. And you can't stop talking or they'll start. So that's rule number one. We have Bob Cowsill joining us with his brother, John Cowsill, and John's wife, Vicki Peterson, who paved groundbreaking musical paths with the Bangles. Their love and music roots run deep and intertwine, and a fantastic conversation awaits. First, Fritz, what have you discovered along your media path this
I just love being knee-deep in Cowsills.
Oh, yeah.
This is fantastic. Well, I'm going to talk about a book I just finished called Miss May Does Not Exist. It's the life and work of Elaine May, Hollywood's hidden genius, written by Carrie Corrigan. It's the biography of Elaine May, half of the iconic comedy team, Mike Nichols and Elaine May, who during the 50s and 60s rewrote the book on sketch comedy. Elaine May is known to be a recluse. She refuses most interviews. She's impossible to track in her personal life. On one of her albums with Mike Nichols, her biography says, Miss May does not exist. The book starts with Elaine's origin story, kind of a dark childhood, the source of her famous neuroses. It winds through meeting Mike Nichols at University of Chicago, both being part of the Compass Players, later to become Second City. Elaine and Mike, along with Del Close and Paul Sills, following the teachings of Viola Spolin, really launched the whole improvisational comedy world that we're familiar with now with Second City, The Groundlings, Upright Citizens Brigade, and others. After she and Mike ended their successful Broadway run in An Evening with Mike Nichols and Elaine May, she launched off on her own, writing plays and finding almost no success on Broadway. Then she started writing and ultimately directing films like A New Leaf, The Heartbreak Kid, Mike and Nikki, and Ishtar. She also became a very successful script doctor, called in to save many films, like Heaven Can Wait, Red's Tootsie the Birdcage. She went on to win a Tony for Best Leading Actress in a Play for The Waverly Gallery. Her brilliance spread across many platforms, writing, acting, directing. She was also known for her prickly genius. Not easy to work with, obsessive on retakes in films, going wildly over budget. Using a cutting, dark sense of humor to control people. The real point of Miss Corrigan writing this book was to show how women were treated differently in film production. Men were forgiven for the ever-present sins like going over budget. Men were forgiven for being known as slave drivers on the set. She was neurotic, obsessive, chain-smoking, and a genius, and had to fight twice as hard to be accepted as a woman. If you're a fan of Nichols and May, if you're interested in the early days of improvisational comedy, if you're interested in the early struggles of women, actors and writers in the film industry, this is a good read.
Did the author get to spend any time with the non-existent subject?
Yes. Most of the interviews that she relates to came from earlier in her life, but not herself. This woman came from a feminist bent. She just wanted to find out how hard it was to be a woman in the industry. She really does a great job. It's really well written.
All right. I found Devil in the Family on Hulu, and you probably know going in that this is the story of Ruby Franke, a family vlogger who descended into the madness that included chaining, brutalizing, and starving her children. That was the extent of my awareness, but within the first few minutes, her estranged husband, Kevin, tells us that he was once so determined to marry Ruby that when he found a graph in her closet logging all of her potential mates and a lengthy list of requirements, he used it as a cheat sheet. He adjusted his behavior on every line item and won himself the prize. But the template was set. The marriage was not a collaboration. He would be led and molded. His only required currency was her good favor, and he sacrificed himself and his children to remain within it. She called her YouTube channel 8 Passengers, revealing because she was the driver. The doc-series includes unedited footage where you see her screeching at her children to record and edit an idealized interpretation of reality. Resistance builds as the kids grow older, and in true crazy cult doc formation, Ruby takes up with a dangerously evil shrink who moves in. That's when unhealthy becomes unhinged. Kevin and the 2 oldest children bravely participate in the 3-part doc-series, which you will find on Hulu.
Wow. How long ago did this happen? I don't even remember.
Pretty
this story.
recent. I think it was making headlines as recent as 2 years ago.
You know she's crazy because she has that gummy smile. It's a huge smile, but there are more gums than teeth.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Profile.
I didn't know that was an early indicator. Yeah.
Man, you kept talking. I kept sinking lower and lower. Do I want to watch it? 3 days.
I wanted to check my smile out. Is it gummy?
No, it's
Not
more.
even
I think
close.
it's more in the crazy eyes. It's like there's something insincere that develops into your eyeballs when you haven't meant anything you've ever said. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
The Botox. Good, John. All right. Joining us now are 2 founding members of the Cowsills, Bob Cowsill and John Cowsill.
Where did you find yours? Oh, she said we found them.
The
I didn't know they were
Cowsills-
lost.
I thought she was going to say 2 founding members of Peterson and Cowsill.
The Cowsills, a family band which expanded to include Mom and Susan and Paul, began as 4 boys, Bill, Bob, Barry, and John. Deeply influenced by their vocal harmonies was a girl from Northridge, California, who brought her guitar to every sleepover and formed a neighborhood band with her sister Debbi that went on to become the Bangles. She is Vicki Peterson. Welcome, Bob Cowsill, John Cowsill, and Vicki Peterson, Bangle Cowsill.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you, people
Thank
out
you,
there.
thank
So,
And Media Land.
You 3 have a backstory that begins with teenage Vicki scrappily seeking and finding the Cowsills.
Wow.
Who wants to begin that story?
That's Bob's story because
Well,
they were
my
like,
Wait a
story.
second, wait a
Yeah.
That was way before me.
How does that start
I didn't
the
know her as
story?
a teenager.
It's the intertwining of
Confusing me.
the 3 of these personalities.
Besides, she was more probably. I'm thinking Bobby Sherman, Donnie Osmond, Jay North Girl.
Wrong.
I don't know.
Vicki,
But
why
no.
don't you tell the story of your inception into the Cowsill world?
I met Vicki when we just connected, either because
Let her tell.
you knew where I was working or
Yes.
something, and we started talking on the phone once in a while about nothing really. I think from her perspective, it could have been like, "What the heck are you doing here?" And from mine, it's like, "How'd you find me?"
Exactly.
But her and her sister were into music. You find out, and me and Susan and Paul and John were locally active as a band, trying to get signed as a new band, pretending we were in an old band. And there was a lot going on back then. It was great. And they would come to our shows to see kind of how you, like the way the Beatles 3 nights on Ed Sullivan did for our band. Like we got to watch and say, well, how are they doing this? Oh, okay. Well, they came to our shows and could see, well, maybe how are they doing this? You know, what we were doing, a lot of harmonies and minimal instruments on stage, at least, that's for sure. And then we just sort of hit it off. And they were in a group called The Bang, actually. It was called The
Bangs.
Bang. The
Plural.
Bangs? Yeah, The Bangs. Then they found out that was already taken. And it was good because I was a football fan at the time, and I thought, geez, if they got Bangles. I mean, every time Cincinnati plays, every single Sunday of every year, everyone's going to think the Bangles when they talk about the Bangles. And to this day, I still think of the Bangles when into the Bangles. But anyway.
Thank you.
And then one day, I see a newspaper article, and it's her and her sister, and maybe Susanna, and I still think they're not the Bangles yet. I think they're the Bangs. But anyway, and it's about, hey, look at this up-and-coming group. And I go, holy mackerel, I know these people. And then, I mean, you know what I mean. And then they make it big. And then now I know somebody that made it big. And then they had a
So did I.
They had a platinum party and invited me and Cecil Duke, who I was working with at the time, to their platinum party.
Wow.
And this is like total 80s, like
Does everyone have to wear platinum?
I'm in over my head. No, but everyone's wearing like crazy stuff. It's the 80s. and me and Cecil are very 60s against the wall. You know, but it was great. It was great. And they came out with the hats and the look and everything, you know, what was going on.
So did you ever sense
fascinating.
in those early days when they were coming to your rehearsals, did you sense that these girls really have it?
No, look, I mean, I'm not that guy. Okay, I don't think anybody has it. I don't think any of your shows. I don't think any of your shows are going to make it. We went in and did Love American Style, the TV theme song, and I came out of that studio. Because this show's never going to do anything. You know, that's what you kind of get an attitude about that. So that's what I'm saying. When the newspaper came to my house. And she and her sister were on the cover of the entertainment segment. Now that gets someone's attention. I go, it's them.
Let me just clarify a couple of things,
Thank
which
you.
is fascinating to get this from your perspective. Very close. I did call him I cold called him one time when
Like phone book calling?
No, because I was given this information that through kind of a crazy little series of
Grapevine.
events,
We'll call it a
but
grapevine.
that somebody's wife worked with one of them, i.e. the Cowsills, at Valley Press Hospital. So I was like,
Wait,
which one?
I'm going to interject.
Yes, why not?
For us Cowsill fans,
Yes.
before the internet, they were gone. There was
Absolutely.
no trace of them. So
Yes.
we were all interested in where are they and are they okay?
Right.
Okay, carry on.
So a record was found in a record store, and the guy who sold the record to this is my friend Amanda actually who bought the record.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, "Hey, my wife works with one of them." And Amanda's radar went up and said, "Wait, which one?" And he goes, "I don't know, one of them." And here's the number, and realized it was Bob. And I cold called him at work. Stalker. And
Well, that would
but
hardly
you
be
were
a stalking call.
Well, it was. I
It's
believe me,
re-
I was very aware
Vicki,
of,
this
of
is
how crazy
research.
this was.
It's
It was research.
research.
Exactly.
No,
I
one
had,
call, but it's not the
no,
9
that's
that
right. It was
followed
just
the same
was
day. That
one
was
call.
stalking.
No. I called him one time.
I know.
And he had the grace to call me back. So I don't think you were actually picked up
Hey,
the phone.
listen, from that one phone call, we're going to end up writing a song together.
Exactly.
In
We
her
did.
bedroom.
And we did.
In front of a fireplace.
With the fire going.
Research.
Yes, more research, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
an
Anyway.
entire year passed before I actually met them. And he did remember, I had to remind him, but he did remember speaking to me on the phone.
Yes.
An entire year. So we spoke in April or spring of 1977. And I'm going to tell you that because I know that we met them in late April of 1978. And that was at the Sweetwater Cafe, where
Yeah.
they were playing. But he had told me, it's funny that you're calling me in 1977 because we just started working together again. And we just started rehearsing and writing and working on
Were your
a new
parents
record.
there at the Sweetwater?
No,
I
they
thought
weren't.
they
They
were.
were at other shows, though. They
Okay.
came to the Troubadour. They came to a couple other ones.
So was
But-
that the Cocaine Drain years?
We were walking
Yeah,
right into
coming into it,
Cocaine
yeah.
Drain
Some of those
days.
songs.
Yeah.
And you're right that I especially was curious about how y'all made as much beautiful noise as you did with only 3 instruments, because it was just John on drums, Bob on guitar, and Paul on bass at that time, and Susan singing when we first saw them. So trio, and at that time it was just Debbi and Amanda and me. So
Yeah.
we were doing the same kind of thing. So
Crazy.
So I'm going to validate that because Susan really thought that we were just showing up at rehearsals because the guys were cute, which was also part of it. But
No,
that
I
wasn't the
never got
real
that
reason.
vibe.
Well, that was what Susan thought.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we are pulled and pushed through all kinds of different energies that surround us, and we're all human. So what is your remembrance or recollection of, John, of the first time
Yeah.
this girl walks in with her sister and they want to be rock stars?
I was pretty stoned, so I think it was at the Sweetwater, right?
I reminded you of
Vicki
that,
tells
yes.
me the story, so I knew it was in April 27th, something,
29.
29th, and she was there with some friends. I said hello, and I asked her, was I nice?
He was.
I was
polite.
nice. And I got married a couple of weeks later.
So rude.
It was, well, I mean, it
Give or
wasn't
take
an
a
impressive
decade.
thing.
Forget the writing the song in the bedroom. This one's going to lead to
Yes,
Bob,
Whatever.
that's so
a little
funny.
better.
Wedding bells, yes.
Oh, and then I remember them coming to a rehearsal at your shop.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Okay,
of course I
okay.
do. Well, because we always liked when people came by because it was somebody to play for. We'd get there at 10 in the morning, play pinball. We got Christmas lights all over the place. And when somebody came by, oh, we're going to play for somebody. You know?
Oh, that's good.
Where was your rehearsal space?
Earshot in Burbank.
There's a little
Doesn't
rehearsal
exist
studio.
anymore.
Just right next to Caesar's haircutting place. It was just this little hole in the wall
Yep.
owned by Bob Chambers. And we had a great time there. And funny enough, just on a side note, the guys from the Rembrandts, Phil Solom and his band Loose Change, would sleep there in the morning. anyway, we just knew him a long time, and I see him in Nashville all the time, and he
Yeah,
used
I
to say
see him,
hello.
yeah.
Okay, and
Phil went on to write with his friend Danny Wilde.
Danny Wilde.
The theme song for Friends.
yeah, they were the Rembrandts.
Wow.
It's
The
just the
Rembrandt-
way
and they were a
it is,
great band
baby.
anyway.
Rembrandt's great.
But I remember asking one night, he came to a club I was playing at, and I said, Phil, he had a mansion in Minnesota or something. And Phil, God, how'd you do that? He goes, well, just write a theme song. That's all he said.
yeah.
But he was a little out of it that night, but it was great. It's so good to see him. So here's a guy
One of the
we
great
knew who-
scenes in We're the Millers at the end of the movie when they surprise her and they do the outtake. Have you ever seen that movie? It's
No.
one of the funniest movies in the history of everything with Jennifer Aniston. And at the end of the movie, they show the outtakes. And they showed an outtake of where the family is on the bus and they turn the radio on and the theme song
great.
from Friends comes on and it makes her head explode.
That's cute.
All right, well, we have a little game. We're going to do a new game, and it's called Are You Better Informed Than Google? So, you know how now when you Google something, it gives like a whole sort of web page on the people, if they're people of note. And then it also has like people also ask, people who Googled this also ask.
Oh, yeah.
So if you Google the Cowsills, people also ask how many Cowsills are still living.
Can I use my phone?
No cheating,
No, you
Johnny.
Phone a friend.
How many Cowsills are still living? Your answer is?
What's the
So-
definition of Cowsill?
Thank you, Bob.
What's
I
the
was just
definition
gonna
of
say that.
what's
We
the
got-
definition of living?
The immediate family.
I mean, I can't count all the Cowsills that exist now.
But
Nephews, nieces,
There's
grandkids.
I would say
four in the
performing.
immediate family.
For in the immediate original Cowsill singing family. Okay,
Correct.
Google says, as of 2024, the group consisting of Bob, Paul, and Susan, and occasionally John, still perform, and since 2015 have appeared on the annual Happy Together package tour with the Turtles and several other 60s era bands.
Okay.
Okay, so
Well,
you-
I get it. It's
yeah.
really not 4 because he's occasionally, so it's 3.5.
Right. Well, you were
They're
good.
still living.
Remember
He's
that
still
band?
living.
Wait.
I
Hang
made
on
you
a
a half.
second.
Do you remember that
He's-
band,
wow,
3.5?
he's
that
giving him-
would play at the Hampton Beach Casino when we were very young. And we Oh, wow, man.
So-
I have a great memory.
Yes, you do.
But I think
just
in this
do.
case, the point goes to the Cowsills. They are better informed than Google.
Well, it goes to Bob.
I think that's true.
Okay,
No,
question
they
number.
said 4. The
They
three
said
of us
four.
and John.
They did.
Okay, all right. Okay.
fine.
well-
All right, what was the biggest hit of the Cowsills?
Ran the Park and other things.
Hair.
Define biggest.
I guess
So
the highest selling.
Ran the Park went to number 1.
All right.
Yeah, but hair went to number 2.
Google
1
does
point.
not appear to list your actual biggest hit. Instead, it offers a list of the tracks that you made famous.
from the best of the Cowsills album, which does not include Hair.
Oh, so they treat them like
What?
children. They're all
Was
equal.
that a licensing?
What?
What
They're
was that
all
all
equal.
about?
That's
Why,
not
why would that be?
okay.
Because of licensing?
I'm
or
not
something?
playing anymore. I don't like the
Hair?
rules.
Google knows nothing.
Why?
This
Hair
is how you know that AI will not murder you.
No, hair is not on that list because whoever made that list, they thought we were never going to have another hit. So they better put a best of out right now. Iron Top.
The Rain, the Park, the Other Things, The Path of Love, Meet Me at the Wishing Well, I Need a Friend.
Need of
Wait,
a Friend.
these are
In Need of a Friend. Mr. Flynn, Captain Sad and His Ship of Fools.
This is a list of
Only
I can
one
songs.
of
relate
them's
to
a
most
hit.
of these
Right.
songs.
Only one's a hit.
Yeah, this
We
is
Can
a list of
Fly
songs.
and
Well, all
Indian
right.
Lake.
Okay, that's a
Okay,
hit.
so
Yeah.
this
so
just
it's
means
Indian
that
Lake and We
an
Can Fly.
album comes out in
Indian Lake should have been at the
1968.
top of the list. Right?
An album comes out in 1968 called The Best of the Cowsills. It does not yet include Hair because Hair hasn't happened yet. That's
That's
my
true.
interpretation.
Can you
of
get
this.
to the point?
The point
Yeah,
is
the
Google
point
is
you-
wrong.
You win. You
What
win
did
that
we
round.
win?
That
don't
you
know.
know
A
more than
surprise.
Google.
Somebody take my
John,
picture, please.
John,
Number 3.
Take the W. Go ahead.
Number
Thank
3.
you.
Was the Partridge Family based on the Cowsills?
God, no.
Your answer. His answer is God, no. He invokes the Lord.
Okay. Well,
Who ever heard of that?
loosely.
Okay, Bob's answer.
I mean, well, loosely, meaning that they went around on the bus, so did we. They had a mother in the band, so did we.
Wait.
they were
What
a
bus
family,
did we
so
go
did we.
around in?
Our big first bus, I call it.
You think that's what that's based on, that first bus?
Oh, yeah,
it was
they
a,
just
it was a
painted
New
it.
Jersey Dominican bus. The bus driver's name was
bus.
Jerry, and it just was a regular,
Oh, no, it was a regular
like
city
a
bus.
Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
it wasn't a school
And
bus.
we-
Excuse
No.
me, I'm answering over here.
And I'm cross talking. So anyway,
No, but yes, our very first tour was a bus tour, as a family, and they're not going to have a painted up psychedelic bus. We haven't established that,
That would be
in
really cool.
life yet. We're
Yeah.
part of that movement. You're not. You're so young, John.
Mondrian
You're so-
wasn't
yeah,
Oh, I
Good
love when
memory.
he says that. Let's go details
yeah,
for
but-
details.
No, his memory is stellar.
It
All
really
right. Well,
is. It's
Google
amazing.
says yes. The TV show The Partridge Family was loosely based on the
Loosely,
real
thank
life
you.
Bob
story
is
that
correct.
word.
Bob,
of the
Bob
singing
gets that one.
family.
Bob Cowsill.
You
The
young people
Cowsills.
The
listening
point goes to
over-
Bob.
This is a history lesson.
Okay, so loosely is their kind of like
the
little.
operative-
Somebody
Yes.
take my picture,
Operative
please.
word.
All right, number.
Thank
This
you.
is the last one for the Cowsills.
Okay.
And then you're next. Okay.
We're going to bang
Hold
up.
it. She's a Cowsill.
I am.
Oh, I thought
She
we were going
is,
to
but
Bangles.
we're also
Loosely.
doing.
Oh, God.
I know, I could answer these.
We're googling the Bangles after question number 4.
What happened to all the Cowsills?
What happened to them?
I don't know. It was at birth, I think.
Well, since there were 9 in the beginning and there are only 4 now, we know what happened to 5 of them.
Good answer.
ahead, Fritz.
Good answer. I feel like I'm on Family Feud.
This is sad, really, and I hate to be the one to read this.
That's
Who's,
okay.
who's next on the Cowsills? Who's the next one to go on the
No,
Cowsills?
we're not playing that game.
Google
I'll be
doesn't
able to
predict
tell you
the
that.
future.
The band self-destructed as resentment toward Bud Cowsill grew.
I resent that.
Dropped by their record label, the group permanently disbanded in 1971.
We were dropped by 3 labels. Go ahead.
Barry and Bill went off to do solo work while Susan and 3 of the brothers, Bob on guitars and organ, John on drums, Paul occasionally reunited on the tour. And shout out to Vicki Sedgwick and Becky Presley,
Oh, were they in the band?
who
They are
built
now.
healthy
Web
Cowsill
mistresses.
homesteads
Oh, web mistresses.
as we settled the internet.
Yes.
Wow,
That's
yes,
right. If you
absolutely.
really want Cowsill's truth, you'll go to either Vicky's page or Becky's page.
I am exhausted.
Okay, John, you can relax and enjoy this round because
Okay, we're gonna
when you
bangle up.
Google the Bangles, people also ask,
People also
did
ask.
the Bangles play on the Gilmore Girls? Your answer is.
My answer is yes. Play
And Google
on, yes.
says the Bangles appeared on the episode called Concert Interruptus.
Interruptus. Thank you, John.
Excuse me.
That was not me. That was John.
That was Bangle Interruptive.
Do you
You
remember?
know, ours sound like really cool when she read ours. Hers sounds like bragging.
Well, we were
I
both
didn't
talking,
do it.
but we were
Gilmore
both talking
Girl-
while she was
Yeah, so wait, how do you know?
I'm sorry.
But
So how do
you
you know?
guys become your own whole sitcom.
Go ahead.
She's on one episode of the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, there you go. See?
You
It's
know,
a big get.
You don't have to contrast and
Yeah,
compare.
it's not. It's
We're
not
all
a
winners
contest,
here.
Bob.
Okay, moving on.
It's not a
.org.
contest,
Okay.
Bob.
Get to the
It's
questions.
okay.
I
Get to
never
the
met-
questions.
He's very
Stop.
competitive.
Number
Hey,
2,
whoa.
Fritzy.
I never met Prince.
Continue.
Okay.
Why did the Bangles break up?
I'm not touching that.
Did they break up?
Bangles didn't. Bangles never broke up.
Okay. Google
Okay,
says.
Google says the Bangles broke up in 1989
You're
due to
wrong.
a combination of factors,
Here we go.
including internal tensions, media attention focused on one member,
Uh-oh,
and the
Michael
band's
Steele.
focus on pre-written songs rather than their own composition.
Vicki, you want to
that
take
close?
those one at a time, please?
D, all of the above.
All of the above. Yeah, and that's usually the way it goes. It's not just one thing.
No, don't take that that's so normal.
Why isn't
With
that
bands, I think the
normal?
life
Because
of
it
a
happened
band.
to every one of our bands. Whoa.
Well,
I think the
no, that's
lifespan
true.
of a band, it's pretty. I mean, Vicky, pretty normal. 4
Well, look at
different.
the time.
that we had
people.
that we had 9 years together as a band. Yeah, I mean that's probably more than the
and
Beatles
that you
had.
are a legacy band now who regroup frequently.
A legacy band.
How many albums did you guys sell?
Thank you, Fritz.
I
How many
read
did
some-
we sell?
I mean,
in total?
I think I talked about this with you the last time you were on here. Some astonishing number of views on YouTube with your, like 1 billion or
Oh,
something.
the views and the streams are big. The actual album sales, as of say 1990, weren't that impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. Who has number 3, me or you?
You.
What are the Bangles doing now?
Yeah,
Your
good
answer
question.
is?
Good question.
Answer it.
Litigating.
Those internal.
A certain podcaster who asks Snoopy questions.
No,
Can't we all get
no,
along?
I know, really. Various things, including they won't know this, so I'll know more than Google because we're doing things like recently released a biography and are currently negotiating for the rights for a documentary and a production deal. And the individual members are doing individual projects.
Is a biography a book or a
That's a book.
picture?
It's a
It's a
book.
picture
out.
book. It's a picture
A
book.
picture
Bob.
book.
I think it should
Yeah,
also.
Bob, you'll
it
be able
should
to-
also
you'll be
be-
able to read it
coloring book.
easily.
It's a
I think
coloring
it should
book.
also be a scripted movie with actors. I think that would be amazing.
Okay.
There's
Okay,
that. That's
Google
another.
says-
Yet
Who's
another
going to play
deal.
John?
I
Another
think.
Okay, moving on.org.
I think you win, but Google
Okay.
says the TikTok of life, Vicki.
Yes, I know.
The Bangles are still active, continuing to perform and release music. They have released 2 studio albums since their 1989 disbandment, Doll Revolution 2003 and Sweetheart of the Sun 2011. They have also released a compilation of rarities from the 1980s called Ladies and Gentlemen, The Bangles in 2014. Susanna Haas has also ventured into writing, releasing her debut novel, The Bird Has Flown, in 2023. Vicki Peterson continues to work with the Bangles. Bob continues to whistle, or John.
John.
It's John. I
And-
can't whistle. I
and
lost that
has
years ago.
collaborated with John Cowsill.
There we go.
Okay, number 4.
Was Ladies and Gentlemen the Bangles a live recording?
There are live recordings on it, but it's a compilation of mostly demos, B-sides, our
cool.
first EP, and some things you haven't heard before.
It's
which
also
is
a
kind of fun.
T-shirt, and I
Treasure.
own it.
And
All
yes,
right.
it is.
Treasures.
Yes, it is, and yes, he does.
Okay, this is our last Bangle question.
Are the Bangles all sisters?
That's my favorite because it's like there's 2 with
We
the
are
same last
sisters in
name and the
life.
rest without.
Well, if
Sisters
you
in
just
life.
get a picture, it
You know, I
screams
know, it's
sisters.
pretty much. Are we all sisters?
Yeah.
We are all soul sisters.
Right.
No.
Google says.
We
Google
know what
says.
Google says.
Founded by LA native Susanna Hoffs, guitars and vocals, and sisters Debbi Peterson, drums, guitar, vocals, and Vicki Peterson, guitar and vocals, and bass player Annette
Zielinskis.
Zielinskis. The band first hit the music radar in 1981 as The Bangs, holding their own in LA's Paisley Underground scene.
Yeah,
Correct.
Now we
Underground.
talked
Does
about
that
that.
answer
Talk
the
about
sister
what the
question?
Paisley Underground is, because that pops up a lot in your biographical information.
Yeah.
What
it was a sort of a loose term that addresses a group of bands from the early 80s who were all playing in Los Angeles, all of whom in one way or another were inspired by 60s psychedelia, 60s music.
It wasn't just all female groups.
God, no,
It was-
no, no, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. Matter- We were the only. Actually, we were the only women in the Paisley Underground, technically. Yes. So it was bands like the Dream Syndicate, the Rain Parade, the 3 O'Clock, Salvation Army, the Bangles. Then there's a few auxiliary club members as well. But it was just sort of a name that the media gave to this movement in Los Angeles.
Did anyone actually wear a Paisley?
Oh, sure.
Of course they did.
Pretty much most of
Is
us.
it on your T-shirt, John?
Most of us did.
They were very 60s in
Did
the
any-
80s and 90s.
Did anything happen
love it.
to the Bangs? That group? Did they ever?
Yes, the Bangs put out. You mean the
Do
other
anything?
Bangs?
No, they're the only Bangs. You're the Bangles.
No.
there was another Bangs.
Actually, let me be clear. Yes, there was a Bangs that was a band from I think New Jersey, and never to be heard from again, unless they start pelting you guys with comments after the podcast comes out. And then there was a band called the Bangs that came out in like 2000 something, and I no idea where they came from.
And they're all girl bands.
No. None of them are girl bands.
Oh.
Wait, but didn't you say that the band who had the Banks name wanted to sell it to you for a certain
They
amount
did.
of money? Thank you.
They found out that we were being managed at that point by Miles Copeland, who also managed the Police. So they smelled money and they said, "Give us $40,000 and we'll give you the
Yeah.
name." And we said,
That's
we can add
That's
some.
true.
We
And
can
that's
add
not
the
on
few,
Google.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
we know more than Google is the answer to that.
I think that's what we've determined.
I think that is.
And isn't it? I just think it's just very refreshing to know that the real story comes from actual people, human hearts and minds. Whoa.
So eat shit and die, Google.
All right. So
To put
you
too fine
guys,
a point on it.
Bob,
Yes.
you've learned that these two
I
were
did.
going to record songs written by your brothers, Billy
Yes.
and Barry.
Yes.
And a lot of you guys have performed these songs over the years. Is that correct?
Well, not really.
No?
No. They were their songs, and they recorded them and performed them. And I mean, I was writing my own, and everyone's writing their own songs and performing their
we
own
would have
songs.
done Bob's if he was dead.
But he's not dead.
Yeah.
Well, that's really was the basis of the project.
You
And
had to
Bob
be
knew
gone.
that.
You
Bob
had to be
kept
gone.
getting on us saying, well, you guys keep talking about this thing you're going to do, and you
let me
didn't
tell
do
you-
it.
All right, since you brought it up. All right,
Yeah.
these two knuckleheads, so they get married decades ago. Now, their house has a home studio, okay? And they're recently out of two famous groups, and they span 2 decades. Not next to each other. You skip one and then go to another one. They got that. They got 80s and 60s in the... And I'm going, why aren't you guys recording? Why aren't you guys writing? Oh, why aren't you guys doing this, doing that? And now,
We
finally,
just talked about you saying.
We did. We
What?
we
you
remember.
guys are taking. What are you doing?
I gave up on them. I
He
said, you know
said-
what? It's the lazy life
That's
of
what
the,
he said.
of
He
the-
said,
we don't have to.
He said, "You are the two laziest people I know," and I was like, "Well, wait a second." Meanwhile, by the way, let's just point out that John was touring 80% of the year with the Beach Boys for the
But
most
no,
part.
no, forget
And-
that. But
no,
you-
no, no, don't forget that.
No, let me say one thing.
Forget that. Forget that.
That's not the John we're talking about. Here's
Oh.
the John we're talking about. John considered a piano and like blow your mind.
Yes, he can.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay,
just
all
saw
right.
him at the tiny
Yes, he
piano.
can.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but then when I sit
I gotta
with
go,
John,
I'll be back.
When I sit with John, say, "Hey, John, you can write songs." He just waves it off. Waves it off. Why? That's what they did. So now, two brothers are dead. Now we have dead people's songs sitting around. No one's going to do anything with those. Okay, and finally, these two wake up and they go, "Wait a minute." And it was going to be the Dead Brothers Project, which I supported 100%.
Me too.
I
Yeah,
thought-
but there were
Us
too many
too.
Dead Brother projects online.
Yeah, Google it.
Really?
You'll find out.
Bob,
Google
we
it.
thought we
my
were so
God.
special,
Yeah.
and like, what? This is nothing.
It'll be
Okay.
really irreverent. It'll be really
Who
cool.
knew?
Yo,
Who knew?
At least
No.
5.
But the
So this
wow.
is it's a subgenre, Vicki.
Just the idea that
Dead Brother music?
These two Cowsills are going to do those two Cowsills, all those songs about all these Cowsills, me and John and Paul and Steve. We do this over here. These Cowsills over
Other
here.
versions.
There's like, it's everywhere.
It's
I love
everywhere.
that. Okay, as an older guy, I look and I go, "Man, this is great." No matter what.
Lots of
Yeah.
Cowsill
And no matter
energy.
what tier it enters at and stays at, even it's good.
Thank you, dear.
I mean, there was a night in Vegas. I was the only one that noticed this. A night in Vegas 3 years ago, where the same night we were at the Golden Nugget, the Osmonds, Donnie and Marie were at the Flamingo, and the 4 Jackson guys were at the
Oh, how fun!
Hard
Holy
Rock
cow.
Cafe.
Wow.
3 families in one
That's
night.
cool.
I mean, that's just under the radar,
That's cool.
but not in my radar.
No,
man.
I
that
know,
was
with
cool.
you.
Yeah.
Hey, I used to-
dug
I'm a
it.
sentimental
I
guy.
always
Yeah.
I actually had an idea
Yeah.
when I was that 14-year-old kid, and that like why isn't there a TV special with the Cowsills, Jacksons, and the Osmonds?
Yeah,
it
the
should have been
brothers.
happen.
Yeah,
It should have
absolutely.
happened.
Well, they were
Until
together
time,
on my
maybe.
bedroom wall. That was an
They're
event.
busy doing their own thing and surviving
I know,
it.
but it's
It would've
so
been a
funny
great
because
TV special.
The,
Come on.
the Jackson had met the Osmonds, and we
Yeah.
never met the Osmonds growing up. It wasn't until I was with the Beach Boys, and I'm playing some theater for brain cancer, and Wayne had some brain cancer, Wayne Osmond.
But we met them, yeah.
Yeah. But I never met with them with the Cowsills. It was with the Beach Boys, and they said the Osmonds are playing here, and I said, "You're kidding!" Like I'm getting nervous because like I get excited about stuff like that. Man, I went to their dressing room. It says the Osmonds, and I just cold knocked on the door.
Brave.
And I know, and there they are, and it's like you think you know them because you've been compared to them since you were 6, and Jay opens it and he says, "Hey, bud," and I go, I
so
said,
Jay.
Jay says, "Yeah," I said, "John Cowsill," and he goes, "Oh my gosh, get in here!" And I sat with Meryl, Wayne, and Jay, and
Well,
sat
that's
there and
great.
talked for hours.
Because that could have gone, I'm sorry, John
could-
who?
yeah,
I mean,
it could-
No.
No,
They were
they
like
would.
me.
No,
They're
I
like
know.
us. Like
Yeah.
what?
Like
The other
it
guys.
should have happened.
Oh, my
earlier.
God.
So
Shoulda
when you
happened.
guys I'm going to ask
Isn't that
you the
crazy?
same question, Vic, but when you guys were developing as a family harmony band, who did you look up to? Did you listen to anybody? Did your parents play you records from anybody and say, try to emulate these 4 parts?
You're going to get 2 different answers because we're
we're
that
age-
far
age
apart,
apart.
in age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll go first.
Please.
Like I knew Beach Boys first because my brother Richard and these guys had the albums on the floor. But then, man, like 10 seconds later, it was the Beatles on Ed Sullivan's show.
Thanks for coming along down the media path, and however you have found your way to us, we would love for you to like and subscribe and give us a nice review because as creators, it is our appointed duty to ask you to do that. You may also want to find us on Instagram and Blue Sky where we are at Media Path Pod, and on Facebook where our show page is Media Path Podcast and our Facebook group is Media Path with Fritz and Wheezy Podcast Community. If you are listening to our show, we are also a video podcast on YouTube at Media Path Podcast. You can write to us at mediapathpodcast@gmail.com. My TikTok is Louise Palenker, where I post behind-the-scenes peeks and clips from the show. And Fritz's TikTok is Fritz Coleman Comedy. He posts stand-up clips and popular dance crazes. Our website is mediapathpodcast.com. There you can binge episodes and our spicy newsletter. Thank you so much. On with the rest of the show.
But I got my music from listening to their music. You know, I mean, you
brothers.
guys brought this stuff.
Yeah.
Him and Bill sang forever. I've heard it forever.
Bill and I, we were emerging from the folk music movement when we met John and Barry. I mean, you know what I mean about
I know
They
what
that.
showed
you
up
mean.
at the
I know.
house.
And so, yeah, so we were,
I didn't meet my mom and dad until
Yeah.
first grade.
but we were listening, the older brothers were listening to those Barry Osmonds on the Andy Williams show, a cappella, doing barbershop quartet kind of stuff,
crazy
okay?
good.
And we're sitting, it was just amazing. And sing along with Mitch and Leslie Uggams and
Yeah.
the Red Ball, and the Lennon sisters on Lawrence, the McGuire sisters, all of these harmonizers.
Families.
We're seeing on television. I mean, that's our medium, you know, it's what you got. And then, we're in Newport, the folk festivals every summer. We're just so part of that. We're on the blankets on the beach in the summer singing folk songs, got into the folk music and snuck in. I mean, I was in the audience when Dylan got booed.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, I tell people that you
I
guys
was.
were there.
We were there.
Oh, my God.
But look, it was only historic later. At the time, we snuck in. You know, we got
Yeah.
into the back gate there.
Peter, Paul, and Mary played that.
We snuck in, and Dylan, look, like a Rolling Stone's a freaking hit. So he hits the Hammond, and everyone starts booing. We're just going, what's going on? What's going on? And we go on with our life. Now, about 10 years later, though, he got booed at the Newport Folk Festival. I was there. I didn't know it was such a bad thing.
I think it was just that they felt
That's
like
so
he
cool.
wasn't respecting the
yeah.
tone
Oh, no,
of the
I read all
event.
about
Yeah,
it.
he knows
was
why.
not.
Yeah.
He was walking away from the folk pure people and
Well, it was
away
a
from
folk festival.
music.
That was-
yeah, I know. No, but the Love and Spoonful are coming. It's going to change like Jazz Fest does down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had the guys here
interesting.
from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And who's the guy that played with the Steve Miller Band, who was the keyboardist?
Joseph Wooten?
Who?
Oh, yeah.
Joseph Wooten. Well, he plays with him the last 32
Well,
years.
No.
No, it was the,
The guy before that.
It was the guy who was playing with Steve, with Paul Butterfield.
Well, that's different.
At Paul Butterfield. Who's the keyboardist? We
Michael
had him on here.
McDonald, you
But
mean?
anyway,
No,
he
not
was
Michael
saying
McDonald.
that whole thing was exaggerated. That there were people booing it, but it wasn't as big a deal
Oh,
as
I'm
it.
sure that's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
true.
Bob was just saying.
Yeah,
he
so
was
I was-
there. It was fine.
Yeah.
Well, but
Yeah.
I'm 12 years.
But he's a
I'm
kid
13, man.
seeing
I'm
it
going,
and
what's
going,
going on? What's going on?
Right. I mean,
But
you
yet the
felt
show
it.
went off and it went on.
It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
He was doing like a Rolling Stone. I'm paying attention to him. Yeah.
All right, so I have a question for Bob.
Crazy.
When you guys were originally just you and Billy playing together guitars, and then you added Barry on drums.
Yeah.
And then it was decided after watching the Beatles that we're going to put Barry on this bass guitar with the 4 strings, whatever that does. And then we're going to need a drummer, and he's added at the age of maybe 7. You're 17. What are
He's
you
not
think?
17
No,
yet.
no, I'm 15.
Yeah,
Probably.
but
So,
can I
yeah.
answer something
Yeah.
first?
Yeah.
Because I was there the day Barry played I Like It on the guitar. Were
Mm-hmm.
you in that room when Bill had to show Dad that Barry could play bass?
On the bass, yes.
Okay, so he played I Like It by Jerry and the Pacemakers
Mm-hmm.
on one of
bass-
the great
the bass
guitars
part.
of Bob's and Bill's. And then my dad went and got a bass. Now you may continue. Go ahead.
So now they're going to add. You're 15. They're going to add this little kid on drums. Are you just like okay, or are you
Yeah.
like, well, let me see what you got, or had you just heard
No,
him?
it's not. Let me see what you got. It's like that's who's on the island, and he's going to be the drummer. There's no one around. You got to pull from within.
But
with-
like I've heard so many stories now, maybe you can clear this up because I was young and there are
Yeah.
some things I don't know. And the story goes that Bill pitched Richard.
no, look,
remember that?
Richard had an audition. We'll call it an audition.
Okay.
And he did have it.
Okay.
And it wasn't like make him the drummer. It's like, geez, there must be something this guy can do. Okay.
Sure.
Yes, it was give him something to do. Okay, you're the drummer, Barry's the but he was good. Now, so were you.
I can't imagine he wasn't good. He
Well-
could dance so great.
Oh yeah, he was fine.
Rhythm.
Yeah.
You know.
So who made these? Did your dad
Dad.
make this
Yeah, my
decision?
dad, of
Oh, okay.
course.
I mean, could Richard sing? No. Could Richard carry a melody? Yes. Is there a difference? Absolutely. Okay, so he's not going to pass that test at all. But there was a shot here. But look, this is a long history. Already at the time of this, it's already too long a history between Dad and this kid.
Okay,
that it's not going to work.
That's the other thing.
It's not going to work.
They were too much alike.
You're not. He's going to keep him off of 2 Ed Sullivan shows. It's going to get worse. Okay.
Well, what was the problem there? What do you mean they had history there?
I think Richard, to sum it up, they were very much the same person.
Yeah, our dad saw himself
Psychologically.
in Richard, and he tried to pretty much beat that out of him, and it
so
didn't work.
So Bud wanted compliance, and Richard was going to give some pushback. And
So, and I want to tell a threesome story.
Hello.
I met these girls. No, just kidding. No, I remember one
luck.
night these guys had just started playing as a trio with Barry, and I remember what you did a gig, and it was late at night. We all got up. It's my memory tells me we got up, and you know the bench by the kitchen that had the 2 white seats. You guys were sitting on that, and you made like $300, the 3 of you. And I just will never forget that in my brain. Like, what is going on here? What are they like? What's the excitement? You know, but they had a power trio. Barry was the first drummer.
Counting out cash.
Oh yeah, we did. We had 2 guitars, and we did everything.
You did.
I can't imagine it. 2 guitars and a drummer. Whatever.
Okay.
Jack
Why
White
not?
did
You
one
can't
drummer
be
and one
done. You
guitar.
can't be
Come on.
done. Come on.
Thank you.
So did
Give
your
me that.
dad decide,
No.
okay, you're going to play the
No.
drums and you're not? I mean, how did that work?
Dad
No.
had nothing to do with any of this. Okay, this is us. Look, this is having 7 children, and 3 or 4 of them are interested in something that's keeping us all out of trouble. Okay, we're not interacting with Dad and Mom a lot in these days. We're going to interact a lot with Dad because he's getting involved now. You can hear with Richard, no,
yeah.
John, yes, and he's already directing. Okay, with what he did, but not. No, the music thing, all us. That's why we like the studio and the
Okay,
shows
this is good
and the
filler
stage.
for me.
It was our freedom. No one could talk to us in
You
the
were
studio.
away from your parents.
We were away from
yeah.
everybody.
That's great.
It's where we ran the show.
Yeah.
That's where the good time
You
was.
and Bill
It still
especially.
is.
Yeah.
I used to sit in with you guys when you do the threesome, and I come and do You Can't Do That.
Oh, geez.
That was the only song I played.
Why?
How adorable.
Why that song? No, you're not the only.
That was the first song I ever played on drums. Was You Can't Do
John.
That by the Beatles.
Every drummer I ever bumped into wanted to play You Can't Do That.
That's
Really?
because it's cool. You just boom, boom.
That's the first
boom.
time I saw them. Because they were on a late night show. I forgot the guy's name, but anyway, they did a late night show before at Sullivan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they did it from England though, and they played
Okay.
You Can't Do That. And I go, who was that late night guy? The
That
late
was
night
so
guy.
cool.
Jack Parr.
Jack
Parr. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it
Well,
was
I would
him.
think that for a lot of this time period, this early time period, Dad's out at sea for months at a time, and you guys
Thank
could
God.
Yeah.
you guys could sort of form yourselves, and then he would show up and be like, "This is sounding pretty good.
He
Maybe
was retired by then.
Yeah, no, well, he retired on Indian Avenue, and
Yeah.
he would leave, but this development is not happening during those days, really. We were very young when he left, and it was always wait till your father gets back, and it was like, by the time Dad got back, we forgot why we were waiting for
Yeah.
him to be back and
What'd
be
you do
afraid.
wrong?
But they never forgot. But it was, yes, later on Indian Avenue when we're doing these Beatles songs, and we just had the knack. Yeah, he was a good drummer from the minute he sat on the drums. From the minute Barry got the bass, from the minute Bill and I got guitars, this was
Yeah.
just a DNA thing that happened. Thank God, because you are in Newport, Rhode Island, you are making a band, and there's Johnny Flanders.
That's it. And that's it.
I know this
That's
is
it.
He was my consultant.
this is all
That's a neighbor kid.
sort of elementary Cowsills information that she probably knows, but it's fascinating to me. So is your dad the one that said, holy cow, we can make some money doing this? Or did the band decide they wanted to be
No,
professional?
he did it. He sat us down, said, "You guys want to do this?" And we said, "Yes, we do."
Sir, yes,
cool.
sir.
No, he took a meeting.
No, yeah.
Yeah, he
I
did,
remember he
right?
took us to Brown University, and we're just getting in the van with the guy, and he goes up and he knocks on the Commons room and says, "Hey, Joe Blow asked
Set
us to come here. Where should we set up?" And, I got to remember they're like Tanea's 19-year-old, 20-year-old college students say, they don't want to be stupid. Well, sit up right there. And my dad opened the windows, and we had worked at Brown University for the next year and a half, I think,
Yeah.
straight.
We were doing toga parties, and
Yeah.
we're 14, 15. He's 10 or 9,
Yeah.
8.
So great.
But we were good.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, we were good.
That much is
and
established.
when you're good that young, you don't
Yeah.
walk around thinking you're good. So that's good.
No, you
Because
think
people
You don't think
Whoa,
anything.
you don't think
Don't
anything.
think
You're
anything.
just doing it.
aren't people telling you that you're good?
Yeah, but you got people
What
at
do you
home
know?
making
So
sure
what?
you don't go up that ladder too far. And they'll
Yeah.
set you right down 2 rungs just to make sure you don't.
Yeah.
It's like it picked us. We didn't pick it. We weren't like 17. I want to be a rock star.
No.
So it was more embarrassing than anything, I think. For me, it was.
But once
That's
we
so
got involved in it, then we became songwriters and became recording artists and we're going to do this. But I'm talking like 1964, so I'm 14. We're in a studio, okay, doing some serious stuff. I mean, you find out later in your life it was serious. At the time, you're 14, you go, oh my God,
but
what's
fun.
going on?
But do you remember the first demos we made and with who it
with
was?
Myron.
Myron Buff,
Of course I remember. Yeah.
Was this a recording studio in Newport?
Well, the
No,
very first one was in Providence, Rhode Island. The next one was going to be in New York.
On that.
Yeah, Myron had the club
Myron
foot.
Buff, yeah, he had the
But he
elevator
did,
foot.
you
I
know, he was
I
our
know.
guy. And
I
it's the
love
first
you for
time
that.
we recorded these songs that we'd written, like Why I Go and the next day too. But it's the first time we heard Echo, and it was like, oh my God. But so we were good at a young age. Now, eventually Dad's going to come home and say, you guys are good. And once the Beatles came out, it gave us, here's the gear, here's the songs, and we got work. We went right into the clubs. 3-4 sets a night.
What were those first songs that you did demos of?
And
What
the
was
next
it?
day
And the
too
next
was
day
one,
too,
and
right.
Why I Go.
Why I
and-
Go? That I haven't heard.
Something else maybe.
And,
I don't want to say
Bad
River
Girl.
Blue. Bad
It's called
Girl.
Bad Girl.
There's stuff.
Not River Blue, no, but
No.
just that early stuff there.
I know, but two of those songs I haven't heard.
I haven't heard.
So
And the next day
sure.
too.
No, that one I know.
Oh.
But Bad Girl, I don't know.
No, you don't know that.
Bad girl,
Yeah.
you make me sad, girl.
It was Sassy Beetle. I'm gonna have you back, girl. Bittersweet girl. Why can't you be a bittersweet girl? It's great. It's great. Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
great.
It's itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot
No,
bikini.
the good ones happened in '64, but you don't know what it's all about, and some other things we're going to write. But,
Yeah.
but
Well, if you'd like to do a rendering of any of those early recordings, we're
Amenable.
all ears.
I have to ask John to send them to me again because my computer died. He's done this once
I
before.
have them.
You have
Still,
them? Thank God.
I have everything.
I can't.
Really?
This
haven't heard this.
computer just.
I have
Just the motherboard.
everything.
It's
I
going-
understand.
it's
When
going
the
to
motherboard
happen,
goes,
you know. Yeah.
it's
I
gone.
understand, but I have
Thank
them.
you.
That's what hard
Okay, so
drives are
Vicki,
for.
the first Cowsill record you get is what?
We Can Fly.
And
The
what are you-
album.
You got the album. What inspired you to? Was it a gift? Did you go out
Nope.
and buy it with?
Bought
your
it
own-
with my own 25 cents a week allowance.
And so, what inspired you to make
And that's,
that purchase?
I think, probably aggrandizing. I missed the whole Rain in the Park and Other Things era for some reason. It just didn't come across
were
my.
young.
I know I was young during We Can Fly too, but it was my older sister, God bless her, who was also my sort of North Star when it came to any music at all. She and I were Beatlemaniacs together, etc. But we were in the car driving. There was a song, and a song. I think it was We Can Fly. Came on the radio, and she goes, "Oh, this is that group with a girl your age in it."
I love the way
with that
sisters talk to each other.
withering older sister tone. And I
a
went,
good one.
"What?" Like if there could be a head snap. I was like, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, there's some girl. She's like your age, whatever." And I was like, Wait, blah, blah, blah. So that sent me on a investigative path to figure out who these people were. And so We Can Fly was my first Cowsills entry. I bought the album, which
Yeah.
I still to this day freaking love and thank you. And it's
Thank
a
you.
beautiful,
That was a
beautiful
great
work.
album they made.
That
beautiful
album
work.
is especially
You and Bill
significant
did a great
because
album.
it's just insanely good.
Absolutely. That's
Every
what I
cut.
thought.
If you guys haven't heard the whole album,
No, Bob and Bill wrote some incredible songs in
beautiful.
that.
Yes, and
Bob, and the
produced it.
production was great
Oh my
on that,
God.
and you
Wow.
finished it.
Man, I'm
God,
almost-
oh, yeah,
No,
you-
I finished Captain Sad.
Oh, it was Captain Sad that you had to do?
Not We Can Fly.
No. okay.
Me,
Cap-
Bill,
that
and
makes
Royce
sense.
Sakala.
Okay.
I can see
Gotcha.
I can see the
Okay,
six
but-
hands
That's
sort
still
of
a-
mixing.
But
That's
We
still
Can
a
Fly
lot,
was
man.
incredible.
It was
Yeah.
How
so
many
beautiful.
Cowsill songs have been covered in history?
Oh, lots more than I ever thought. But I
Yeah.
have to go to Google and you see they're on
Yeah.
TikTok. They're here. They're foreign ones.
Yeah,
There's
I know.
Oh,
Me too. I run
absolutely.
across
There's
them.
a cute guy in a hallway in Norway somewhere trying to sing "Rain in the Park" on the guitar to the girl next to him, and it's not going well. But there's a lot of things out there. It's a lot of fun to just do that once in a
Yeah.
while. Google
Oh,
yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
But go to page 20.
Yeah.
Bob, what was the first? What was the first record you ever bought?
That-
Line
You
6 tonight.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I went
Mine
down
is
to
El-
Moss Music.
Mine is El Paso by Marty
See,
Robbins.
we remember. We
He
remember.
had a
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah. Of
voice,
course we
man.
do.
What a
Of course
beautiful
we do.
voice
Marty
he had.
I
Robbins.
love Marty Robbins.
I still listen to
best.
it.
My
Yeah.
aunt El took me to Warwick Shoppers World or something. I think that's what it
El
was called.
Paso City.
59
Hey,
cents.
nice.
Yeah. I
No,
just.
Lion Sleeps Tonight.
My
That's a good
first
one.
single
The,
was
not the McCoys.
Herb
Who-
Alpert, "This Guy's in Love with You,"
Oh,
because
nice.
I thought it was cute that he was trying to sing.
Yeah,
I
because
wanna
he
go
wasn't a
see him.
singer.
It was cute.
Yeah.
He's 90 and he is touring and he
He's-
sounds great. I've been watching
Who are you talking
YouTubes
about?
of him.
Herb Alpert.
Herb
Oh,
Alpert.
Herb Alpert.
Yeah.
I want to go
It's
see him before he
inspirational.
goes. He's so cool.
It's inspirational.
It is inspirational.
Herb Alpert. Yeah, he's sitting on a stool. He's got his horn, man, and You're 90? Okay.
That takes
Do
a
you
lot
know
of
that
air.
on
going
close,
there.
the song "Close to You," where you hear the flugelhorn?
Yeah.
Bop, bop, bop.
Oh,
that
classic.
was done. They wanted Herb Alpert. They couldn't get him.
Yeah.
So Richard Carpenter got what's his name?
Oh, you just found it the other day.
Anyway, it wasn't Herb Alpert, and the guy does his thing, and Richard tells him, "No, I want it to sound like Herb Alpert,"
And it
and
does.
that's why you think it's Herb Alpert.
Okay, the
style.
same
And
And
phrasing.
it's
Yeah.
just so
Absolutely.
perfect. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have another game, and
Oh.
it's called Cowsill's Trivia.
Did we just
All right.
we just played a game?
This is going to be, and you can play too, Vicky,
Okay,
because
thank
you're a
you.
Cowsills
you
fan.
get to
I
play.
get to jump
Cowsill's
in.
Trivia Roulette from Becky Presley's site. I went to Becky's site.
I like Becky Presley.
It's so extensive, and there's like 276 trivia questions, and so that's why it's called Cowsill's Trivia
I
Roulette.
have
So
another
you know-
podcast at
Wow.
10 to 5.
Just so you know, John.
We're going to do a
Wait,
few,
wait, wait,
just
hold
a
on.
few. We're
John,
going to do just a few.
We just did 3 trio shows in Nebraska, and Becky Presley came to. We met
Oh,
and
nice,
saw her.
nice.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great. Okay, go ahead.
So this is just a few from her exhaustive.
Yeah, we'll see
list
about
of,
this.
I think she just takes submissions, so she's just
Oh,
you
that's
know
gonna get
I'm submissive.
Becky's a curator. So question number 1: which Cowsill does a comedy routine about Sector 9?
John.
John.
Could we hear a little of that?
No, but
No.
continue your
Wait,
questioning.
wait. What are you talking about?
I have a dat. I have to find it. I have to find it.
You have a dat?
I have the character.
Yeah.
I
We
don't
did
even
it
know what
during
that,
Global.
I don't know what this is.
Oh, that's okay. Relax.
Okay, can I
Next
tell
question.
you some? Can I tell you where
Can we
you
do this when I get home?
Can I tell you one thing?
Yeah,
A
sure.
little piece of trivia.
That's what we want.
Sector 9, this character actually is on the album Global. And
Really?
it's in the song I Be Low. You just have to find it.
So in Sector 9,
You mean look?
In the second bridge, when it goes into this G
That was
thing.
excellent.
In the second bridge, it's going into this running and running and running.
Yeah.
You think you hear a voice, and you do.
Well,
Is it on
is
the
Sector
YouTube?
9 a
Maybe it's on
person?
the
Sector 9.
YouTube.
Sector
do it
9
on
is a
the recording.
person?
Yeah, it's a space character. When he's out at the microphone,
Okay.
we interviewed him during the Global session,
God.
and he was in character.
That's something to look for.
So we put him in there. You
And
can
where-
hear him talking.
Who is Sector 9 and where is he from?
Next question, please.
It's a long history. You
All
don't
right.
have time.
No, we
Next
don't have time.
question. We
I'm
don't
gonna
have
ask-
time
I'm
for
gonna
this.
ask John when we get
Invite him
home.
back to a podcast.
Surrounding
Movingon.org.
Fritzy, read number 2.
Which Cowsill was caught using a toy cannon to shoot Christmas bulbs off a tree?
Well, we all did that on DVD.
I know, but it
doesn't?
actually was my father
Who doesn't?
showing
Yeah.
Barry how Big Ben works. It was called Big Ben.
That's
Mom
correct.
got mad.
and
Bud is
mom,
the guilty
mom
party.
hated that.
Do not shoot her Christmas tree. No,
Oh,
no.
Bud, you got him a gun. Yeah, we had Fanner 50s and cap guns.
Oh, man,
and
we
stuff.
got guns.
We
Fanner
had
50 was my
guns and
favorite
holsters, baby.
I mean, what is it? What is the noise level in a house full of boys?
Oh, please. What even
No,
ask
no,
that?
don't say please.
You've been in a room with where 2 or more are gathered. The dB level goes up by 35%.
But even as
I
adults, so can
disagree.
you imagine as
I disagree.
No, don't imagine as children. Because as children, we're orderly, we're quiet,
Totally.
we're in line,
And separatists.
we answer the phone properly, we do everything
We are.
correctly. Now, what happened later as adults?
That's
Right,
what I,
okay.
That's
but
what I
as kids,
learned.
we didn't. We
Was-
we had our own little groups of people,
Not-
so we
not
weren't
to be that
always
way
together.
anymore.
Like, hey, Bob, hey, you know. I mean, unless it was a set up bar fight in the back room, occasionally. Pretending watching the Western movies, and we pretend we were in a fight or something like Bonanza.
Right.
But anyway, other than that, it wasn't very loud house. I
Because
don't
you
think
had
it was.
age tiers.
All
and-
Right.
different age
Yeah, yeah,
groups, and
yeah.
everybody had their best
And,
friends.
there you
teams.
go.
They were
Right there, it's
teams.
split up.
Okay, number 3. What was the color of the suit that Bob wore on both the dating game and the generation gap?
Red.
Red.
Boy, he's good at this game. Okay, Fritzy, number.
you
On
new
which
with this?
TV show can you find John twirling his drumsticks?
Ed Sullivan.
What was the year?
1968.
1967.
67. Yes. At least that's
57.
Number 4. What other 2 famous drummers share a birthday with John?
Karen,
Jay
Car-
Osmond.
and Karen Carpenter.
And Karen Carpenter.
Wow.
Oh, you guys are fast.
Great
Jay
drummers.
Osmond and Karen Carpenter. That is an interesting
Isn't that
coincidence.
interesting?
It's
Yes,
more
it
than a
is.
Yeah,
coincidence.
Jay and I
you-
always wish each other birthdays
Yes,
every
it's very
year.
cute.
Did you work with the Carpenters at all?
I worked as a carpenter.
Is that true?
Yes.
In the band,
Yes.
the Carpenters?
He can build a whole house.
I worked as a carpenter. I hung doors,
Wood.
ran trim, built stairways, built mantles.
You know, Ian.
I got turned
you know-
down by Richard Carpenter once.
different.
Oh, you did? Do you ask him
were
out?
you dating?
What did you do?
No, I'm sorry.
I asked him to do an arrangement on a Christmas song, and he said, I said, you need to do this. And I got to give it to him. He did call me. He goes, Bob. I go, what? He goes, I really can't help you with your Christmas song. I said, thanks for calling.
Oh, wow.
It was too
cute.
close to Karen. He was all the.
Oh, it was too
these were
close.
during the years. Now
Okay.
Richard has some years where he
Fair
was
enough.
looking for the next Karen.
I know.
I bumped into him then.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's all right. It was
And he
cool.
didn't get his due respect. Nobody
Oh,
knew.
Brilliant.
what an
Brilliant,
arranger.
brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Nobody knew
Good point.
he made
Arranger.
all those tracks
Absolutely.
I know.
arranging.
Did he write the songs
Richard's
as
a
well?
genius.
No.
Yeah.
Just
no,
a
he's
brilliant
genius.
arranger.
But he was
Arranging.
brilliant.
It
And
would
I
have been,
started-
it would have been good.
But I'm also the guy that wanted to go into the prison and tell Phil Spector the same thing. So
We can do it. The
I'm
echo in
glad
here is
you-
I said,
amazing.
you got one more in you, Phil. Come on.
The echo in these
It's
prison
true.
halls is
It's
beautiful.
true. I said, I got him where I want him.
You restrain
Okay,
yourself.
Fritz, number 5.
All right, what was the ghost name who lived at Halidon Hall?
Captain McCormick.
Yeah.
Wow,
Captain
we're all,
McCormick.
you guys are aces.
I don't even know what that's in
Thank
reference
you.
to. What,
Okay, so you
He owned the house.
We want to hear
Captain
some
McCormick.
details. How
Yeah,
did
I don't
you
have any
know there
details.
was
I
a
just
ghost?
We're not going to get through these 2,000 questions if you keep wanting to get
No, we're
deep
only
diving.
doing 8. We're only doing
Through
8.
the
John.
use of a
I wanna
Ouija
know.
board, which we got very good at.
Yeah.
You and Barry.
At Halidon Hall, me and Barry especially, we found stuff and found out stuff. And Captain McCormick was a guy that owned it many, many, many years before we lived there, whose wife used to spend hours on the captain's walk, which we had on top of the house back in those days.
Wow.
Widow's Walk.
Widow's
Yeah, yeah,
Walk,
yeah.
waiting for him to come back. You could see the harbor,
back.
Newport Harbor, waiting for him to return as a story and be sad. And
Imagine what it looked
whatever.
like
Isn't that
then.
wild?
How
Yeah.
sparse.
So is
just
that,
I
is
know.
that Captain Sad then?
Oh,
No.
No, not that. What was her name? Do we know?
Mrs.
the
Mrs.
widow.
McCormick.
No,
widow.
I don't know.
Mrs. McCormick. That's Ms. McCormick.
We could
too.
Google
I think
it,
we did
right?
find paperwork. And
We did in
We did
pictures.
know her name. Yeah.
Remember in the
love that.
And found letters and
but
stuff.
what was that called? The
Wow.
stable house, the coach house.
But the
Yeah,
room
where the
above
garage
it.
was.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
my
yes,
gosh.
yes. There was
You
stuff
have
out there.
So did you ever
proof.
see a ghost, or was just the Ouija board?
No,
Heard,
but,
right?
but there
These
was
guys see ghosts. I don't.
one
Okay.
event happened where Bill's first wife Karen was a non-believer in this stuff.
Right.
In fact, but you wonder about people who hate the Ouija
Surprising.
board. It's not non-believing, okay? But anyway, she didn't like any of it, and every time she walked into the room when Barry and I were doing this, and we were all around it, this thing would stop cold. And finally, she left once, and we said, "Why do you keep stopping when Karen walks in?" And we said, and this thing moved fast. It said, "I don't like her." Yes, it did. This thing moved so fast, we had to have somebody next to us writing down.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
how
remember
fast-
that.
That happened
and
with
it,
me.
It
It's
goes
all
flying.
It's all
Just
true.
go flying off the board.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of that scary story.
Susan and I did that
Okay.
too. But that's very interesting about Karen.
Next question.
Oh, man.
Next question.
That
Of
was
all people.
wild.
Next question.
That
Whose
time
is
is
it?
Well, yeah,
Number
wow.
6. Mattel included 2 Cowsill albums as accessories in Barbie's dream house in the 1960s. Which 2?
We Can Fly.
And Rain the Park.
And the Cowsills. Yeah,
First
the
album.
I mean, the first
Yeah.
album.
Albums.
That's
Yes.
just a
So Barbie
picture.
had
Wait a
discerning
second.
taste in music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you mean they were included in?
So
the
they would be
Barbie
like
Dreams?
little
Oh, little
tiny-
tiny.
Yeah.
Picture
Okay,
on
little
the
tiny.
little
Gotcha.
thing.
How cute. I wonder if those are
I want
available
that.
on eBay because Vicki
Probably.
wants them.
You know,
I don't know,
yeah.
but I have a lot of close and play Cowsill things with the machine, close and play.
How does it work? So
You
it's like
close and
a.
it plays. You put the tape cartridge in, you close it, and it
So
plays.
do they come in a? They
Wow.
come in a cassette or like a vinyl?
No, it's not vinyl. It's a little cassette thing.
Oh,
Close and play.
Cute.
I remember close and play being okay. Never mind.
All
have a
right,
lot of-
why were the Cowsills kicked out of a London restaurant in 1969?
Ooh,
Never
I wanna
heard
know
that
about
one.
I want to know that.
I don't know that. And it must have just
Wait,
been my dad.
1969.
1969.
No.
Were you in London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Do you remember
actually
this song?
67, not 69.
Okay.
We were not in London
This
in
is
69.
never heard before
Okay,
by us in
let's
our
find
lives.
And you're
Let's
about to
find
learn
out.
something new.
Well, or it's fabricated. What is it?
Well, does
What's
it
the
involve
answer?
Hold on,
Robert
hold on. He may
Stigwood?
have
There is a
something.
Robert Stigwood story, but it's not
You
a
met
restaurant.
Robert Stigwood?
No, we're
Get back
kids.
to
No
the
one's
question.
meeting us.
Well, it just says. It says, why were the Cowsills kicked out of a London
What
restaurant?
does it say?
Hair.
Restaurant.
It said for singing at the breakfast table.
Oh, well, that could be
Breakfast.
true.
That could have been anywhere.
Oh shit!
That
We
could
got
be
kicked
true.
out of our own kitchens.
You guys were
usually
told
you
to
got
sing in
paid for
restaurants.
singing.
Get to
No,
a real
no,
question.
no.
Get
All
to
right.
when we can answer.
Number 8, Fritzy.
In an interview, what did Ed Sullivan say about the Cowsills?
that they put on a really big shoe.
That they were the most important musical phenomenon of the decade.
Head baby.
So they got mad
of
at
the
our dad.
decade.
How many times were you on there?
Well,
3 times.
Two.
We Can Fly, and then there was...
No, two.
Okay, go ahead.
2 Ed Sullivan appearances. Christmas Eve of whatever night, what year that was.
Yeah.
But before Christmas Eve was the first one when the mic didn't work on Rain in the Park.
Okay,
Mike didn't work.
but
That's two.
there was an episode where we did Rain in the Park and Other Things, and there was an episode where we did We Can Fly, and then there was a Christmas episode that we did. So there's
No,
3.
Only 2. We'll disagree
Okay.
on that.
Well, okay.
Okay.
Now, there were 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's supposed to
On
be.
the plate.
There were 10 on the plate. But Ed took 8 back because our dad got in a fight with his son-in-law, Bob Preck, because a microphone. It was live television, and a microphone didn't work on the show, and the fit hit the
first
fan,
verse.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he wasn't in good form when he went in to see Bob
Oh,
Preck.
really?
Yeah,
my
it
guess.
was
How
terrible.
unusual.
It was terrible. It was $1 million. I saw the telegram. It was 10 shows more than the Beatles, but we only got 2. But that's what it was with Dad.
Yeah.
See, you dealt once with him,
God,
and
that's
then you're a hot
heartbreaking.
potato.
Man, totally.
So your career is like this.
So-
but at least you had one.
So We Can Fly, was that the Christmas show?
Are you saying it was
Is that
that
what
was
you're saying?
That's
combined?
We Can Fly would be Craft Music Call to Me. Yeah.
No, it's the same show. It's
Okay,
set-
well,
Then it's the
watched it
same
on
show.
Ed Sullivan.
We're on
Then it
both
could have been
halves
on the
then.
same. They could
Okay,
have been both.
then maybe
You
that.
played
We're on
both.
both halves.
That's because
There
I
you
know
go.
it's an Ed Sullivan show.
I've never seen the We Can Fly Ed Sullivan appearance yet.
Okay.
I've seen everything else.
So Ed Sullivan hosted the Craft Music Hall? Is
Oh, now we're
no, why did you say that? Why did
No,
you
no,
say
Bob
that?
said that.
Because
I didn't.
Oh,
say
we're,
that.
we're
okay.
on so many television
Yeah.
shows. I think
A lot
he's
of TV shows.
conflating a couple of them.
But you do sometimes perform more than once on the Ed Sullivan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
So
we're
there you
definitely
go.
there
Then
twice.
there's that.
Look,
Well,
that,
what they might have done is taken like 2 Christmas songs and then used one the following year.
No, but Bob
No,
could
no,
be
no,
right
no.
because
We did a medley.
because it doesn't
was a
say
medley,
Ed
yeah.
introducing us doing We Can Fly.
no.
So it could be the Jonathan Winter
Yes.
show or Craft Music. I don't think it was Craft Music Hall because of the suits we were wearing were 1967.
Okay, yeah.
So according to
again-
Wikipedia, Ed Sullivan show is twice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Who said that?
I did.
Get out of here.
Left it. All right,
Wikipedia
so Bobby,
said it.
Yes,
last
ma'am.
time
Bob fan.
then when John and Vicki were here, there was a little bit of a discrepancy concerning the recording of Hair, which was the
Okay.
first thing you guys did completely independently.
Yes.
It took like 47 takes or whatever.
Yes.
But you guys
58.
Could you discuss
Who's counting?
where it was recorded and what you both remember about
It
it?
was at a studio on Fairfax. What's the name of it, John?
Actually, the studio was on McCaden,
Here we
and
go.
it was off of Highland and Sunset, and it was
Okay,
called
good.
TT&G.
The guy's name was Angel, and Jimi Hendrix recorded there. I know that.
Alice
That was exciting.
Angel Ballester was the engineer, and
Here's the deal. We're
it.
going on the Indian Lake tour,
Right?
okay? So this is the spring of '68. We got 2 days to do this because at the end of that tour, we're going to do a TV special in San Francisco with Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
And Michelle Lee. So we got 2 days to do this song. And the instruction is make a demo you can lip sync to. You're going
Right.
on TV. So we got to give everyone a verse and just make sure we fit it all in.
Yeah.
So we went in, just the 4 of us really. We're going to get Susan Ferran Spaghetti.
well, they
somehow.
all showed up later on in the afternoon.
Yeah, and for the vocal, but we're going
But it
to
was
just
4 of
start
us.
this, and it was a fun 2 days. It was the kind of session where we're just winging it. I mean, there's a harpsichord. Okay, let's put it on the bridge.
That was so cool, dude.
Amazing.
Right?
That was the best day ever.
It was great, and we were new to it, even though we were veterans, because we hadn't been playing our gear. And believe me, if you sing live, that's wonderful. You're great. But
Yeah.
you take that person into the studio, it's a whole different,
different
ball
thing.
game. It's a whole different ball game. So
And
we
that
had
was
to
the
work
first
hard at it.
That was the
Oh, yeah.
first 16 track we'd ever used, and they wheeled it down from Wally Hyder because Mia Hayden was the inventor of that, and they shared that machine. I don't know if you knew
No.
that. Yeah, it was
But
pretty
that
cool.
and this guy Angel, he was great because he made all that echo. Like
Dude.
in the beginning.
So cool.
I mean, people that know the record, I'm just saying, there's a lot of echo in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
But it's
That's
really
where you
different
really show
sounding.
your harmony.
We want
chops.
that live.
Yeah, you
Yes.
never get it
We
live.
want it
No.
live.
And so
Never
at
gonna
the
get
end
it.
of the 2 days, we had Hair done. What you heard, it's done in 2 days.
Genius record.
It was just a moment of,
Bill and Bob produced that thing, man. It was incredible.
well, it was like Bill said, hey, it sounded pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
Then
And
we
the
sent-
arrangement was phenomenal.
Brilliant.
It was like a Queen thing, you know. It's
Oh,
like it had
yeah.
movements and stuff and all that.
God, it was
but
so great.
MGM didn't like it. Fine, at our age,
Idiots.
I'm 19, Bill said, and we've had hits, and then we've run into Dad. Then we've had a hit, run into Dad, had a hit. Hey, we got this. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is going to continue.
Yeah.
You know, we could. MJ didn't like it. Oh, okay. Well, we'll give him something else later. You know, but it's going to come out because we don't know the Fifth Dimension and Three Dog Night and Oliver. Everyone's doing something from this musical that we know nothing about, really. We're part of a phenomena, and it's going to take all the way till the following May of '69 to come out
Right.
with the TV special. Because back then, a TV special, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
The United States of America is now going to see you.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
At
Same with
once.
Ed Sullivan, at once.
Yeah.
And your
That's
spike
huge.
is going to be big.
Yeah.
And it was.
It
and
was.
after that,
And
people
MGM
knew that
liked it.
song, including the guy at WLS in
Yeah,
Chicago.
WLS.
Yeah, he saw that.
We were on that Indian Lake tour. We told the guy on WLS what happened with MGM. Hey, we
Play
made
this.
this song. They don't like it. I'll play it. And he said,
Yeah.
hey, guess who this is? And no one could guess. And
And
all
I
that.
remember that.
He got in trouble.
I remember that so well, being in that
Yeah,
studio.
I can see that
So-
studio.
I can too.
People were picking songs out of the musical. Did you just pick Hair, or were you commissioned to do it?
Commissioned by
Yeah.
Carl
Carl
Reiner.
Carl Reiner wanted us to do
Yeah,
Hair.
he said, take the lead
He
song.
thought it would be funny if
He had
these
a
clean-cut
skit in Vo-
kids
in
would
He told us,
wear
that's funny.
wigs.
We're going to put you in wigs.
Yeah, and
which they
leathers
did.
and chains and vinyl, and
They did everything they told us they're going to do
Yeah.
to us. And we're young, so we go, do it.
we
Yeah.
loved
And then
it.
they show their mom just shaking her head like, what are you going to do? You know, kids
You know
today.
what? That 2 days, Mom's nowhere near that record. Mom's
course
not
not.
even on that record. No, it's the truth.
not, yeah.
Susan is barely on it. We got to get her something. Well, and spaghetti, give her that. Okay, that's it. And then the high harmonies. Barry,
The
John,
high
Susan, man,
harmonies, yeah,
these
yeah.
high harmonies are the
Way
best.
I don't think your
So
harmony has
good.
ever been better than
So
it was on
great.
that record. That record was
Everything about that record.
Yeah, oh my
We were
god.
The bass part on that
The
record.
full
is
stack
genius.
was there.
that was really
The
good.
rhythm.
Everyone
genius.
was
fun.
on board, you know. So
Yeah.
that's
That
a
was the-
high,
that was the
and a lot of
pinnacle.
young and older. It's like when you have the two choirs and you got the grade school and the high school guys.
yeah.
That's the best choir.
Exactly,
That's what
Bob.
we had.
Yeah.
We had
All
just
You got the young
voices just changing, so it kind
Yeah.
of had a
It
good
was
sound
awesome.
to
It had a cool edge to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, we have just a little bit of time, and I wanted you guys to promote what you're up to right now because I know,
Oh.
Bob, you're about to go out on the Happy Together tour, I'm guessing. Uh-oh.
You sound like me with the Beach Boys.
You're going to be sleeping on a
It's like,
bus.
Day
it's
job.
like the traffic controllers. When you're 19, yeah, give me airplanes, radar. When you're 89, you go, I don't want so many blips on the screen anymore, you know. But, you know, no, we have 57 cities. I'm
Yeah.
loving it.
I counted 62 already.
No, 57, I think, is the final one.
Because I always count them up for you.
Yeah, it's
So
a
they're
lot.
working, man.
And it's one-nighters, and I sleep in the berth, and you're grateful. It's the 11th summer because it's going to end. There's no
Yeah.
more doo-wop shows.
Unless
So
you guys take it over.
Yeah, the Cowsills.
No.
That has to be talked about.
Are you kidding? This company.
You guys could host
This
it.
company's made a
big time.
brand. The Happy Together Tour.
Right. Of
course.
The Happy Together Tour, the 80s. The Happy Together Tour, the 70s. The Happy Together Tour, whatever.
Oh,
but
wow.
their problem is in the later decades, the 60s, we were all crazy out of control. Everyone had 4 or 5 hits. All of us.
Yeah.
And that's all you got. I mean, unless you're the Eagles or Fleetwood Mac, but even you, the Zombies, the Kinks, I don't care who you are, you had 4 hits and that's
Yeah.
it. Okay. And so, but we all did. Now, you got one-hit wonders. In the 70s and 80s and 90s, there aren't a bunch of groups that had 5 hits.
Okay.
It just doesn't exist.
So it was you, the Turtles, and who else on that tour?
Well, we're going to
Oh, my
have.
God.
It's going to be the Vogues, Jay and the Americans, who
Oh,
are
my.
great. Us, the Turtles, Little Anthony, who is
Oh, he's phenomenal.
stellar
Yeah.
at 82, and Gary Puckett, who took the place of Mark Lindsay, because we're getting the wounded now. The bench is coming. You know, we got the bench is getting
No, I
weak.
hear you.
Yeah, the bench is weak. The pool is shrinking.
And
The-
Peter
the
Nunes
nights are
doesn't want to
shrinking.
do it anymore. He'd be
Peter
great.
Noon and Tommy James don't need any of us.
Yeah, they don't
And
need
They
it.
tour by
The
themselves.
nights are shrinking, and the genre's shrinking, and everything's shrinking. So that's just what your work environment. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just your work environment. It's okay.
All right.
Because
So,
the boomers are still out there filling.
And still
they
want
want
to
to
Arthur's
come.
as successful
They
as
wanna
anybody.
come.
So
yeah.
Yeah, no, they
Absolutely.
come. They
Now,
come.
I'm the last of the
Absolutely.
boomers, my age,
Yeah.
69,
Yeah.
70, yeah.
So, John and Vicki, what are you guys up to this summer?
Nothing.
Got nothing to do.
I heard there was
We're gonna
love
go
it.
make food.
We
We're
gotta,
gonna go have dinner. No, our album came out long after the fire, which is, as I think we previously mentioned,
Long after
is
fire.
is a tribute to Bill and Barry and their songwriting prowess.
and you guys.
And I hope that they find the original versions of them because they're absolutely wonderful
Yeah, we
and they're
keep-
available now. You
yeah.
can find that stuff.
On
We
Spotify.
keep promoting that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But we are going out and doing some shows between now and the end of the year, and we have shows already booked for 2026. So we will hopefully be doing proper touring, meaning that more than one at a time in the new year.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, we're having fun and going out and playing shows. We have a number of shows in Southern California area with our friends the -5, featuring a drummer who's on keyboards. You might recognize Debbi Peterson.
yes.
So yeah, I'm going on tour with my sister.
A couple of guys from REM.
We're gonna grab Debbi and make her sing with us. So yeah, it'll be fun. And those are shows that are coming up at the end of this month and early June. And then we have shows in Philadelphia. And then John has another day gig too. What's your other?
Oh yeah, I
Job,
sing
John?
lead with the Smithereens.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? No, it's a funny thing because I've never been a lead singer of anybody, and never mind just standing up. Bobby will crack up because the first gig I did with them, I went to the drum set. And Dennis says, no, it's the oddest thing to stand up at the microphone.
You know,
and not
I don't
sing,
know how you do
You've
it.
done
I
it.
only sang 1 or 2 songs or 3 songs, even with the Beach Boys, never more than that. A lot of background harmony, so I got good wind. But I've never had to learn any lyrics to anything. I don't know words
It's
to
just
any songs.
being out there. I mean, I won't stand out there without a
Without
guitar.
your guitar.
on.
How many times have you done that?
I won't do it. Well, we can't plug it in. I don't care.
I don't care. I'm holding this. I'm holding it.
I'm
baby.
okay with it.
Now you've done well.
I've done it.
You've done well.
I've done
At
it.
first it was weird, but now it's fun, and I just get to dance around, and play air
He's a
drums.
rock star.
And I'm
It's
on
great.
stage with Dennis Dyken, and so I get up close and personal and watch him how he plays his stuff. And Jim Babjack, Bob knows all these guys, so he knows what fun I'm probably having up there, because they're our friends. And you can go to vickyandjohn.com and get all
right.
our tour dates.
Yeah, we're
So
going
you
to
know
Where
where
are you
we
playing
are.
in LA? What venues in LA?
That has them on there.
We're playing in Pioneer Town at Pappy and Harriet's, and we're playing at the Zebulon. Those are the LA dates.
So we're going to have everything you need, Happy Together Tour, Vicki and John, in our show notes. So
And you
here-
can go to cowsill.com, and they have their dates there, too, because
And
that's where I
Vicki-
find out you're
Oh,
playing.
and
Yeah.
Bob Cowsill at happyface.com. No, not really. I don't have. I'm not out there. I'm like George
He's
Clooney.
not.
George Clooney.
Him and Paul are-
George Clooney says he would
You and
rather
George.
have a colonoscopy on live television than be on social media. I'm with him.
Hey, I don't like social
Okay.
media either, but I'm on it.
No, you got to be
I
on
gotta
it.
be on it.
Susan's on it. Somebody has to be on
I
it.
know.
You gotta-
Susan
you gotta be
does
on
a
it.
lot of good
All
work
right,
for you guys.
closing credits.
Okay, we need to close because we
Here
got
come your
another stuff
closing
to
credits. John and Vicki are very busy today. Here come your closing credits. We want to thank our guests, Vicki Peterson, John Cowsill, and Bob Cowsill. Our team includes producer Dina Friedman, John Maddox, Bill Filipiak, Mason Brown, Raf Rusak, Jordan Reyes, Haley Freight, and you. Our theme music is by me and John Maddox. I am Louise Blanker here with Fritz Coleman, Bob Cowsill, John Cowsill, and Vicki Peterson. Be well and wise. Take care of each other, and we will see you along the media path.
I've had a hand up using my media path water bottle.
Hey, how was Rick Springfield?
He's so nice.
He
He is nice.
really
I met him.
relaxed.
Yeah.
I think he's in a good place in his head.
He would have
I'm
to
glad to
because I
hear
saw
that.
him